You're welcome back. You're welcome back. You're welcome back. Let us uh, listen to this very interview that was granted to Showore. Let us digest this very interview and hear the point that Showore want to make here. He made some great points there, and let us hear what he has to say.
They were actually supposed to have jailed Nnamdi Kanu on November 10th. But they realized at the last minute that it was Ken Saro-Wiwa's same day that they killed Ken Saro-Wiwa. Second, the sentence was supposed to be a death sentence. But because they could not get, the support they needed to carry it out, they decided to make it life. Omotosho, as of the time he went for a break to come and read the judgment, was still what he had in his hand was a judgment for death sentence. If you see the passion with which he was reading the allegations against Nnamdi Kanu, one, the laborious and tedious way it was going on, he didn't write the judgment. You could tell. You could tell from his demeanor and his action that this was too much. A lot of mistakes. He couldn't mention his name. He said everything properly. And secondly, when he went back, they had to have another meeting with him. He said, look, I don't think we can carry out the death sentence. And that was why they settled for life. And then they imprisoned him, they settled for life, and took him to Sokoto the next day. They spent $10 million to go and bring Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya. For this is a sham trial. If you spend $50,000, you'll be able to get touchy. If you put $50,000 on the ground in Zamfara or Sokoto and say, I want to get touchy, I'm sure there are enough hunters with that money who will go and fish him out. But they are not interested because they are partners in crime, in the business of terrorism. Because the number one organization in this country is Nigerian government. You heard it from me.
All right, on today's edition is a human rights activist, politician, as a matter of fact, one of the very face, we can call him the very face of activism in Nigeria right now, Omoyele Sowore, who is also the national chairman of the African Action Congress. All right, you have earned the reputation as Nigeria's most fearless activist. When did you first realize speaking truth to power was a calling for you?
Well, I think I realized very early in life when I was confronted with the brutality of Nigerian state when I was 10 years old. My village was invaded by the people you call Mopol now, or the Kill and Go police, because of an altercation between them and the youths on Christmas Eve in 1980. So the brutality, the trauma, and the degradation we followed that night as a family, as a community, forced me into a space where I said to myself, perhaps there might be an opportunity in the future. If I live to be old enough to speak truth to power, I will confront these people. That was 10 years old. Of course, that is the internalization of that decision. The externalization was unraveled as I went to secondary school, where you had to confront teachers, principals, and then when I got to the university, I had to confront principalities. And this were made up of vice chancellors of University of Lagos, and eventually the military government. And ever since then, everybody in power, whether you're police, army, civil defense, you're a governor, a senator, anybody that's abused power, we try to speak truth to that power and confront without fear. I guess that's what I mean by fearlessness.
You don't fear for your life?
Oh, no, not anymore. I just had gotten to a point in life where I know that what is holding a lot of people back from what is right and just, the majority, is fear of death. And that death is going to come anyways, whether you're afraid or not. Yeah, it's a necessary end.
What are your thoughts with the spate of kidnappings of school children across the length and breadth of the country under President Bola Tinubu, especially considering the circumstances under which we are told they are released or they walked away, they escaped, and so on? How does it project this government?
Well, you must look at it from the point of view of the Nigerian state itself, and that's regardless of those who are in power now. But as of today, it has escalated to this point because over the years, you just had leaders who did nothing for the country to make the country have a safe, secure, and prosperous future. Even though we've made so much money from resources that we didn't put there, certainly very great resources. But of course, the current managers are the same set of people who promise you that they will turn the country into a Dorado, but they have turned into a Hobbesian state. You know what Thomas Holland's most important quote is, he said, it has become a place where life is solitary, very poor, nasty, brutish, and short. That's where Nigeria is today, it's a Hobbesian state. And it was because the current president was one of the architects of the Nigeria that we have today. It didn't start today. He's been a senator. He was senator in 1992.
How do you mean by what Nigeria is today? He's an architect of it.
Because he was one of the people who even people thought they fought for democracy. Never really fought for democracy. They were fighting to get power. And when they didn't get power in 1993, they ran away. And what were they doing when they left the country? He pretended, alongside some others, to be fighting for democracy. But he was actually dealing in drugs, heroin.
And that's an allegation.
It's not an allegation. It's stated in a U.S. District Court for official hearing that I was the first to obtain physically on the outskirts of Chicago, where it had been taken after the case was concluded in 1993. It had been taken to the archives. I purchased a copy of that for some $6. I can't forget. So, and then when they came back into power, having engaged in all kinds of dealings with the military that was living. And he was Lagos State Governor for 8 solid years. What did they do in Lagos? They decided that they'll take whatever belongs to the people of Lagos and convert it to their own private accounts and enterprises. And that's how we came about a tax collection procedure by a company owned by Tinubu, known as Alphabet. And from there, one of the most vibrant economies in Africa, Lagos' 6th largest economy, was looted. And Lagos today, if it rained, does easily go underwater. If the money was spent, they made in Lagos and developing Lagos probably will compete favorably with Amsterdam, or even better. I'm just giving you the background so that you can understand why I said that. So when you now reward such a character with the presidency of Nigeria, what do you expect? And you look at the ones who work with Buhari, kept Buhari for a second term, and you know what Buhari did to this country, and you know what their political party is doing to the country. And you know what they are doing today, ruining democracy, engaging in unbelievable manipulation of the judiciary or the judicial process. They're engaging in some of the worst set of people that can run a country. Is in power today. It is difficult, I must say, to tell you who is the worst set of people to govern Nigeria, because I've never seen a good one, as to say, but successively, the worst is always the correct. So, and then you take away the rights of Nigerians to freely elect their leaders by manipulating the National Electoral Commission, or the Independent National Electoral Commission. And for those of us who told you that INEC is a political party as opposed to being an electoral commission, you saw what they did. The man who just left less than 3 months ago has been offered an ambassadorship, effectively giving him immunity to answer for his crime or crimes in the 2023 election. So that is how I came about my conclusion. that you shouldn't have expected anything better. Yes.
I will still return to the kidnap, but somehow this also aligns with why you seem to be having fresh charges against you, calling the IGP illegal and the president a criminal on social media. Do you regret those statements?
No.
Or do you stand by them?
I was offered the opportunity to recant before they wrote me a letter. They wrote Facebook a letter, wrote Twitter a letter. No, they wrote Twitter first. Twitter brought it to my attention that they want them to take down my position on Twitter. And I said, no, I don't want to. And then they wrote Facebook. And the DSS wrote me directly that they want me to apologize and take down my tweets or posts. And I refused. So if I regret it, why would I refuse and opt to go for a criminal charge to deal with that? I'm going to be charged tomorrow for that offense at the Federal High Court officially, alongside Facebook and Twitter. But Twitter is not making any appearance. They refuse to enter an appearance because they know it's a sham. Facebook has entered appearance because Facebook has a way of dealing with all this government. It's all about money. So, and as I've always said, stated in the past, the social media companies have become your new colonial rulers. Yes, because they pretty much tell you what to say, what you can't say, where to, which angle of your body can be taken and uploaded. And they own everything you upload there. Most people don't read the agreements before they sign up. They own it. They sell your information freely as they want. And Facebook just had an agreement with the Nigerian government to settle out of court. And most Nigerians didn't ask, why did Facebook accept to pay $32 million to the Nigerian government to settle out of court? Because they found out that Facebook breached the privacy of Nigerians online by selling information of their users, over 40 million of them, without their permission. They can't do that in the US, they can't do that in Europe. But they can do that here because we're inferior to them because of the kind of leaders we have. If they were found to have committed the same offense in Europe or the US, you won't be talking about $32 million. You'll be talking about billions of dollars in restitution.
Let's go back to the spate of kidnappings.
Yes.
And the manner in which the people so kidnapped are released, giving room to all kinds of narratives and conspiracy theories. What's your take on it, and how does it?
So you have to understand that what is afflicting Nigeria today is the failure to protect the people of Nigeria. The security agencies have failed in their duties. And that brings me back to the reason why I call the IG illegal. You are illegal with the general police if you continue to remain in office while you are not a policeman. The primary law that governs policing, or who determines or defines a police officer, is the Police Act. And what the Police Act says that the person who is Inspector General of Police must be a policeman. So, but if you are retired, you cannot be called a policeman anymore. That is why you are not different from the guy who was caught in Lagos, a sergeant who had retired, but went back on the highway wearing it. It was the same IG that announced his arrest and prosecution. But you have retired since September of 2024. As having served the police for 35 years, every policeman is only allowed to serve for 35 years. That law hasn't changed. So anybody who goes around wearing a police uniform after he's retired is acting illegally. So, but his alibi or excuse is that he was appointed by the president to that position. The president cannot carry out an illegality because he's president. He has to conform with the laws of the land. And it's been made very clear where an act of parliament it contradicts the constitution of the country. They can't know this constitution superseded. I must say now that I even don't believe in this 1999 constitution because it was the sons of praise of the Nigerian military when they were leaving power. It wasn't made by Nigerian people. So that in itself is one of our biggest problems. But that's my explanation. So all the security agencies just have no capacity, destroy the capacity to work or do or deliver on their mandates because of corruption, incompetence, and collusion. You're not. We're seeing the police and army today failing, the DSS failing. We are not asked about the Nigerian Navy. Do you know that the job of the Nigerian Navy has been contracted out in this country to a private company? Do you know that? The Navy cannot operate in up to 35% of Nigeria waterways. The entire Niger Delta region, the Navy has no power whatsoever to intercept boats, ships, canoes leaving and entering Nigeria waterways or coming to land. It's only in Lagos that they have that capacity or right. In Niger Delta region, it's privatized. So you know what I mean now. That is why the presidential spokesperson came and told you that they know the kidnappers. They have their phone numbers. They have a Rolodex of kidnappers. They have Rolodex of bandits. And that's because they're engaging, as a result of their own failure, what they call non-kinetic engagements, in which they fail to crush where people are found to have violated human rights and have killed unlawfully, which is only states and these agencies are allowed to kill unlawfully or hold somebody. These are crimes against humanity, by the way, but because they have been compromised too much, including in the recruitment process, where you recruit Boko Haram militants that you claim are rehabilitated. And let me shock you that the Nigerian government actually has a rehabilitation center for Boko Haram in Gombe State. And they spend more money on those rehabilitation than they spend on any Nigerian university, federal university. So they have set the grounds for what you are saying over time. And they're just playing on your intelligence as citizens by claiming that, oh, you know, we are looking for kidnapped persons. The truth is that today, if someone is kidnapped and you go to the police will warn you not to go and make noise about the kidnapping. Because if you go and start making noise, the kidnappers will call you that the police has told them that you are becoming very stubborn and obstinate,
Nigeria.
and that they'll come and kidnap you. And they will do that without anybody being able to protect you. The kidnapper can write a letter, or a group of kidnappers can write a letter to a community that they are coming on so dates to kidnap whomever they find, and nobody can protect you. What does that tell you? It's failure of Nigerian state. Yes, Nigeria is a failed state.
Let me take you back to the
when we say Nigeria is a failed state, when we say Nigeria is a failed state, some people will take it maybe we are making noise, we are just saying it. Look at Showore. Showore is a one Nigerianist as far as I know, even though he has a different mindset. I don't agree with him 100% in all the things that he's saying, but to a very great sense, I agree with him. To a very great level, I agree with Showore 100%. Look at him. In their own national TV, Showore is telling that Nigeria is a failed state. The only place where we have disagreement is in the solution. Showore is not supporting disintegration, as he has always said that he's a Pan-Africanist. Me personally, I don't want to get involved in any Pan-African nonsense. Whenever you speak about this Pan-African, I don't see any reality in it. I don't see any sincerity in Pan-Africanism. Because before you begin to talk about Pan-African, before you remove something in the eye, somebody's eye, remove that one that is in your eye yet first. You must first of all build your home, get yourself prepared before you begin to invite others to come in. That is where I disagree with Showore. Look at him here, opening his own mouth and say that Nigeria is a failed state. The same thing we are saying on our programs. The same thing the Biafran people are crying over. When we say it, they call us extremists. They call us tribal bigots. They call us troublemakers. Showore is saying it in the national TV. We have the same people. When it comes to solution, they are not bold enough to confront the solution. And I don't have a problem with him on that. Showore has chosen his own path, a revolution, calling for revolution at all times. I wish that people in that contraction can answer the call of Showore revolution. If you cannot answer the call for disintegration of Nigeria, why not answer the call for revolution? But I tell you, in Nigeria, it is even easier for people to go for disintegration than for you to expect a revolution to happen in Nigeria. It is more easy to have disintegration than to have a revolution in Nigeria, because Nigerian people, nobody wants to put his life on the line for that thing called Nigeria. But people can boldly fight for their own region. The Biafrans can fight for Biafra. The Yoruba Republic can fight for Yoruba. The Middle Belters can fight for themselves. The Northern Arewa can fight for Arewas. But when you begin to galvanize people to fight for Nigeria, the only people that are speaking about it, they do it that online. They come online and they talk about what Nigeria is and what Nigeria is. But in reality, nobody is serious about that. You see, Showore, the same thing we are saying. I don't have any problem with him, even though I don't agree with him 100%. He has the right to pursue the freedom the way he wants to pursue it. He has the right to pursue the betterment of his people the way he wants it. Likewise, I have the right to chase my own dream. And he will not have any problem with it. If it works for me, fine. If it works for him, fine. But the only point I'm trying to make is that when we say Nigeria is a failed state, it is something that every meaningful person, including the one Nigerians, agree. The only ones that does not agree are those ones who are trying to satisfy their selfish interest, their hatred, and their belly. Nigeria is a failed state.
Illegality. The National Assembly also passed an amendment bill which the president has assented to, legalizing his appointments. Where does that leave us?
No, you cannot legalize an appointment of a person retroactively. It was when people started shouting that Akpabio, who is one of the worst Senate presidents in history, decided to pass a law or an amendment to a law, because they realized this before. Within a day, I think they did it in an hour or so. It was just done to try and cover up for the flaws that was seen, because I had started telling him not to even have his new tenure renewed before he'd retired. After what they did to all these young people during the end bad governance. So I was not even in the country when I started to say, your tenure is coming up. You better not try. Because I knew I heard chatters that they were trying to extend his tenure. So, but as there was a lawmaker, I think his name is Gadi or something, who said he's moved out that, yes. And he came out and said, no, what Showore is saying is not true. Since I replied him, he has not spoken about it again. Because it comes back to this simple concept that you have to be a policeman. Even for that amendment, you must go and amend the Constitution to allow policemen to not be able to retire at 35 years of service or when they reach the age of
illegality.
And to make this easy for you, if I'm taken before a federal high court judge tomorrow, and I heard that the guy has retired and they brought him back, I'll tell him, my lord, you can't try me because you are not a judge. It's the same thing I tell him, you can't arrest me because you are not a policeman. When I was arrested over calling him, my constant problem with him, he said he wanted peace during my last arrest, not this last one. And arranged with Fakorede and another person that they should bring me to his office as a condition for my bail. And I told him it was a Friday. I said, I would prefer to stay here till Monday. We go to court. Reason? If I go and meet you in your office, I have now legalized your position as the IG.
Yes.
But if you want to meet me privately, we can meet on the street after you have resigned as IGP. But not as I was supposed to have I think it was a 5K or 10K.
What Shore is explaining here is the illegality in Nigeria. An IGP that his tenure have already gone, and they are imposing it on him. And you see what he said. It's just like what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is saying in the court, using a repealed law on Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. A repealed law, and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is asking them, which law, upon which law are you judging me? Under which law are you judging me? And they refused to answer that question. They went ahead and used a repealed law. Even when they tried to explain it, the idiot about who was trying to explain it on media, he forgot that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have defeated the federal government on the case in the appeal court. And from that moment that the court quashed that very case, it ends there. They refused to release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and they went back to put the same law again to accuse Mazi Nnamdi Kanu of something based on the same law. But meanwhile, that repealed law ends on that very day. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was freed in the appeal court. So if you are putting Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to trial again, it has to be based on the new law, not on the old law. It has to be on the new law, not on the old law. And Nigeria, because the lawless place, they refuse to pay attention to this. And they went ahead because they have already agreed to put Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in detention. They went ahead. This is just the illegality, again, that Shore is explaining. The one that happens to him.
Somewhere in Abuja. He was to come. The moment they told him Shore is coming, he didn't come because he confided in somebody that he might go there and call me illegal IG, and I might be forced to beat him up. You know, I told the person, how is he sure he can beat me? But that's just on the lighter side. But that's how passionate I am about things that I stand strongly against.
You've also been in the forefront lately over the issue of Nnamdi Kanu,
Yes.
And very vocal at that. What was going through your mind or your reaction when Justice James Omotosho was reading that life imprisonment judgment on November 20th?
Nothing. You know why? Because as of November 5, I had explained in a long tweet on my page and on my Facebook, on my social media handle, exactly what was going to happen on November 20th. Two things were going to happen in November. They were actually supposed to have jailed Nnamdi Kanu on November 10th. But they realized at the last minute that it was Ken Saro-Wiwa's same day that they killed Ken Saro-Wiwa. Second, the sentence was supposed to be a death sentence. But because they could not get, the support they needed to carry it out, they decided to make it life. Omotosho, as of the time he went for a break to come and read the judgment, was still, what he had in his hand was a judgment for death sentence. If you see the passion with which he was reading the allegations against Nnamdi Kanu, one, the laborious and tedious way he was going on, he didn't write the judgment. You could tell. You could tell from his demeanor and his action that this was not.
Of course, he did
There's a lot of mistakes. He couldn't mention his name. He said everything properly. And secondly, when he went back, they had to have another meeting with him. They said, look, I don't think we can carry out the death sentence. And that was why they settled for life. And then they imprisoned him. They settled for life. And took him to Sokoto the next day. The fastest transfer of a prisoner. And
the fastest transfer in
sent a
prison.
message
That's what it is.
to the people on whose behalf he was sentenced to life. Because nobody should deceive you. Nnamdi Kanu's offense has nothing to do with what they read as his charges. Some of those charges are dead. Some of them no longer, some of the laws under which they do not exist. Like the treason charge. You can't charge somebody for treason after 3 years of committing the offense. So they charge him almost 4 or 5 years after he committed the offense. Some of the charges restated had already been struck out. So it was just what they call trial and error. This offense is that he was asking for the breakup of the real estate called Nigeria. And the owners of Nigeria decided that, you don't do that. That's What is that offense the Christians talk about that is unforgivable in the? It's an offense against the Holy Spirit. You know, this is an offense against the holy oil in Nigeria. That was the reason why Tensarawa was. When you touch that area, they don't waste time. The owners of Nigeria, then you've touched their economic life, a nerve. They'll kill you. They kill you immediately.
Have you been able to visit him in Sokoto?
I haven't, but I've had people who have visited and we've been in touch. I've been in touch with him in general, but I've not visited Sokoto yet. But you see what I was telling you when I was planning the protest for Nnamdi Kanu, which I believe also might have led, which I believe was the reason they didn't pronounce death penalty, because that was a lot of attention, and that was why they were upset with me and sent me to Kuje prison for 4 days about that. When we were planning all that, I was calling on all these Eastern governments to speak out. Now they've realized that it's even more burden on them that Nnamdi Kanu is sentenced to death. That's why OT had to fly to Sokoto, maybe on a private jet, to go and visit Nnamdi Kanu. The judge is still going to go there and visit and apologize and confess. It happened to Fela. The judge who sentenced him, when Fela was there, he was sent to Maiduguri, Bama prison. The judge drove there from Lagos to go and apologize, wherever he was. Judge is still going to, Tinubu will still visit Nnamdi Kanu in prison.
They will.
But we told them this was unnecessary. They could have saved themselves embarrassment on November 20th by just charging him of just releasing him unconditionally. Because you could tell, how do you accuse somebody of killing Gulak when you have him in TSS custody? How did he do it? No evidence. The only evidence they have is a radio transmitter and microphone. That
is one important statement that he made. Every one of them that is involved in detention of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in Sokoto, they are now doing pilgrimage in Sokoto. And even the judge and Tinubu will definitely go and apologize to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. It is not a prophecy, it's a reality, it's going to happen. Just as he said it. The cost that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu laid on them, the only thing that will save them is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu reversing that cost. Except that, they will face the consequence. And it's going to happen. Today, Sokoto is another pilgrimage, a place they go for pilgrimage. Everybody is going to Sokoto. The judge that sentenced Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will go to Sokoto and apologize. Tinubu will go to Sokoto to meet Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. And it will happen.
They'll kill you. They kill you immediately.
Have you been able to visit him in Sokoto?
I haven't, but I've had people who have visited and we've been in touch. I've been in touch with him in general, but I've not visited Sokoto yet. But you see what I was telling you when I was planning the protest for Nnamdi Kanu, which I believe also might have led, which I believe was the reason they didn't pronounce death penalty, because that was a lot of attention, and that was why they were upset with me and sent me to Kuje prison for 4 days about that. When we were planning all that, I was calling on all these Eastern governments to speak out. Now they've realized that it's even more burden on them that Nnamdi Kanu is sentenced to death. That's why OT had to fly to Sokoto, maybe on a private jet, to go and visit Nnamdi Kanu.
But when he was in DSS,
the judge is still going to go there and visit and apologize and confess. It happened to Fela. The judge who sentenced him, when Fela was there, he was sent to Maiduguri, Bama prison. The judge drove there from Lagos to go and apologize, wherever he was. Judge is still going to, Tinubu will still visit Nnamdi Kanu in prison. But we told them this was unnecessary. They could have saved themselves embarrassment on November 20th by just charging him of just releasing him unconditionally. Because you could tell, how do you accuse somebody of killing Gulak when you have him in TSS custody? How did he do it? No evidence. The only evidence they have is a radio transmitter and microphone. I was looking for an evidence of, he went to buy a ship of weapons and sent to Nigeria. No, not even a bullet. Just exercise book where he wrote his thoughts, underwear, radio transmitter, they claim he concealed. and brought to Nigeria and the microphone. That's all.
Why do you think his release is important to Nigeria?
Because, Nigeria entered voluntarily into a disease in 1963. And to exit from it and heal itself, you must address the outcome of the Civil War. All of this thing you're saying is the outcome of the 1970 Civil War. And part of the reason why you say I'm active on this matter is not political. I didn't fight that in that war when it was active, and I don't want to participate in fighting when it is cold. They're still waging a cold war against the Igbo man in Nigeria.
Exactly.
I know it. I don't need to go to school to know that. I don't need to have a PhD in philosophy to know that Nigeria has an Igbo problem. But it would be hypocritical on my side to fight and speak on behalf of Palestinians when Israel is shelling them, and forget to fight on behalf of our local Palestinians in the southeast where Nigerian government is shelling them.
Did you hear that? Did you hear the description that Showore gave to us? You see, when Showore speaks certain times, forget about the sentiment, forget about our differences. We know we don't agree in everything. But he's making sense in everything he says. How could somebody who called himself a Nigerian be in Nigeria? You are talking about the Palestine, the sharing of the Palestine. Meanwhile, the Palestine within you there, the Igbo people, the IPOB are being shelled, they are being killed on a daily basis, and you are not talking about it. That is exactly what Showore is saying here. You see, sometimes I tell people, forget about sentiments. There is always a place that we agree. In every time when you speak with people, find that common ground where that meets that place that makes you people agree. Hold on to it. With that very thing that makes you agree, you can make a lot of peace. You can make a lot of progress. Just like in this agitation, there is one place that every one of us as Biafra meet. The place we meet is that we are all frustrated and we want freedom. It doesn't matter the group where you belong. It doesn't matter whether you support Biafra or you don't support Biafra. It doesn't matter the rank or your position. It doesn't matter the name you bear. There is one common thing that among us that we want to be free. We need freedom. Even the politicians that are not bold to say it, some of them, they know that we are in captivity. So each time when we talk, when we act, when you fight your brother or your sister, you remember that tiny rope that is holding us. Freedom. When you remember that tiny rope, that one thing that holds us bound is that you and I are seen as third-class citizens in Nigeria. You and I are not treated as part of the Zoological Republic. You and I, we are not part of the project called Nigeria. There is a massive orchestrated plan to commit genocide against me, against you. Anytime you deny that, you ignore that, and you begin to look at me as your enemy, look at the right enemy, you have lost it, you have missed it, and you are creating a chance, you are giving a space for the enemies to come in and attack. Anytime you lose focus because of one reason or the other, because of the way your brother talk or the way your sister talk, because of the way somebody explained themselves, you channel your energy and make your brother your enemy instead of focusing on that very real enemy. Anytime you make that mistake, you are only working for the enemy. That is why no matter how angry you are, no matter how satisfied you are, no matter how we argue certain times, come back to your senses and know that we are fighting for one particular thing. Freedom. Freedom. There is one thing that unites us. That is why I always like to listen to this our brother Showore. We don't agree 100% on the things he does, the way he does his things. He has chosen his own path, a revolution to change Nigeria and keep it Nigeria. But we, on our own, we say that will not solve the problem. That is not going to happen. We want a total disintegration to your to Israel. You're going to go their separate ways. He doesn't have any problem with what we are pursuing. And we don't have any problem with what he's pursuing. Whoever gets it, so be it. We can live at peace. All we are asking for is a peaceful coexistence. Even at the end of the day, if Nigeria is being disintegrated, the Yoruba Republic will be on their own. Arewa will be on their own. Middle Belt will be on their own. The Biafra will be on their own. We will still be neighbors. We will still do business together. We can still intermarry. We can still be citizens where we want to be citizens. You can never rule that out. So, when you see people that have like manners, forget those little differences you have. Find one little thing that unites you and reason with them. That is why, like, when you narrow it down, you see sometimes you look at the southern part of Nigeria. There is one little thing that holds us together. There is one common thing that holds us together in the southern part of Nigeria. In our morality. In the south, the entire south, their morality seems to be alike. Different from the northern, the north. Very, very different. The way we do things are different. That is why sometimes when we talk, sometimes we narrow our discussion on the south. We use the word south because we can find some similarities among us in the southern part of Nigeria. We use that word south and we use the word north to categorize the northerners because they have something in common. So when you see some words, that strong word that Shore used on the national TV, that how can a person who claims to be a human rights activist, how can a person who claims to care about humanity be talking about Palestinian? And meanwhile, there is a Palestinian in your own domot, in your own home, there, where lives are being taken, children are being murdered, people are made homeless, homes are destroyed, properties are destroyed, widows are created everywhere, widowers are created everywhere, and you don't talk about it. Instead, you choose to talk about something that's happening 1,000 miles away. This is a very strong argument and strong word. That is why I cannot but emphasize on it again and again. And I want us to hear it again from Shower.
In 1963, to exit from it and heal itself, you must address the outcome of the Civil War. All of this thing you're saying is the outcome of the 1970 Civil War. And part of the reason why you say I'm active on this matter is not political. I didn't fight that in that war when it was active, and I don't want to participate in fighting when it is cold. They're still waging a cold war against the Igbo man in Nigeria. I know it. I don't need to go to school to know that. I don't need to have a PhD in philosophy to know that Nigeria has an Igbo problem. But it would be hypocritical on my side to fight and speak on behalf of Palestinians when Israel is shelling them, and forget to fight on behalf of our local Palestinians in the southeast where Nigerian government is shelling them. That would be hypocrisy on my part.
How do you respond to claims that activism is funded by some quarters to create a false sense of opposition?
You know, I'm very happy that people can have opinions about me that they can put out there. That makes them feel good. But if you want to do an activism that is creating a false sense of opposition, go and put your younger brother out there and then shoot him. And you finish burying him and you continue your activism. Be expelled from the university twice. Let your nose be broken. Let your mother have stroke because they detain you for a long period of time. Let your passport be seized and you can't see your children for 5 years and you have to be with your wife for be shot at, let them go after you everywhere you go. So, and then we can all come to a place where we say, oh, we have created another activist who created a false sense of opposition. I'm not trying to be an opposition. See, what people should differentiate between activism, as you call it, and opposition is cyclical in Nigeria. people only oppose the government when they are out of government, when they don't have something to eat. They will oppose the government. I don't belong in that category. And then what happens to activists all over the world is that a narrative is framed to scandalize you, right? And some people will believe it. So when you get to a point as an activist at my level, you don't even respond to that, because then you get distracted responding to what they call hubris. You know, at the end, the person who says, "Oh, you want to create real opposition, so that the ones that are forced can pack and go home." So, but I understand that a person respects rights for people to have freedom of opinion, and I cannot tell you that anybody who says that has no right to say what he wants to say. Everybody should have a right to say that. That's the kind of country I'm fighting for, where you have a right to say what you want to say, and you're still free after you have said that.
Let's talk about revolution now.
Yes.
What exactly are you calling Nigerians to revolt against?
If there's anybody who's asking that question about this time, I have nothing to tell them. If Nigeria should be revolting against everything, I hate to say that, but I can't fail to tell you that every country that I've been to outside of Nigeria, and I've been to 31 countries beside Nigeria, and the question I ask myself is, what is wrong with us? And the question the citizens of most countries that I've been to, the moment you introduce yourself to them, that you are a Nigerian, they ask you two questions. One of it is that,
as the world
where is
begins to
that footballer? They always have a favorite footballer. JJ Okocha is the most popular that I come across. And the second thing is, why are you guys not revolting against your leaders? You have such a great country, but you have foolish leaders, you have crazy leaders. I'm telling you what outsiders tell me. They tell me in South Africa, you go to Ghana, they'll tell you. In fact, some of the reasons why Nigerians are hated abroad, apart from those who are accused of being too nice to their women and their women fall in love with them, because they say Nigerian men are very good in taking care of women. So there's that animosity I'm talking. But the second reason most Africans hate Nigerians is that they love Nigeria to the point that they can't understand why Nigeria is not a great place. Yes. Because they love your football, they love your culture, they live off of your music, their life is dependent on your movies, their spirituality is controlled by your clerics. Right? And then they will have to wake up and hear that you don't have water, running water. You don't have electricity. They can't travel to your country to go and see. I don't know how many Africans, I'm not saying Europe, I don't know how many Africans are saying, I wish I can go to Nigeria. There's so much about Nigeria. How is it? But they'll tell you, but they said, you can't go there. They'll kidnap you. So, Nigeria, if you have a child born abroad, you can ask anybody in diaspora. The only way to get your child to behave properly is to say, I'm taking you to Nigeria. I said, at the place, what do you want me to do? I don't want to go to Nigeria. I'll do it.
Yes, so.
Which other country do you use to threaten your children like that? Your children offend you, like, I'm taking you to Nigeria. I said, no, please, daddy. Please. I don't want to go to Nigeria. And they've never been before. It's just based on what they've heard from their classmates. But good news is that there's something that is not related to government that keeps them going. My son plays soccer, and he's focused on Osimhen. He's like, Daddy, did you see what Osimhen played? I don't even watch soccer that much. But you can't talk to my son about politics. He doesn't want to hear it, because that's the traumatic part of Nigeria that affects him directly. His father is constantly hounded for going, being a citizen of Nigeria. He's aware, but he has found a way to please himself with something Nigerian, which is soccer. Some have adopted Nigerian skit makers, they've adopted movie makers, musicians. People talk about all these young, great musicians. They have fans all over the world. They're doing well. Nigeria has almost replaced the entire musical genre around the world. Afrobeat, or whatever Afro they call it, is popular everywhere, even in the Nordic region. You go to Norway, you go to Nigeria, Sweden, the concert is filled up. It doesn't matter if it's Burna Boy or Flavor or Davido or Wizkid, but who wants to come to Nigeria to do a concert? Probably not many.
The president has just sent 32 names, in addition to 3 other names he sent as ambassadorial nominees to the Senate for immediate confirmation. And there have been divergent opinions regarding composition of that list. What's their own reaction on the list?
You see, I have a problem with Nigerians. Sometimes we major too much on what should not bother us. Why is anybody upset that Tinubu appointed useless people as ambassador? You get my point? Because they're all in the same WhatsApp group. What are you upset with that Tinubu appointed Reno Omoto or Panika?
Ask them all.
Who do you want him to appoint?
Yakub.
He's appointing people of his genre.
Yes.
He appointed a guy who helped him rig election. What do you expect? He appointed a guy who helps him with propaganda, telling lies. He appointed a guy who helps him do other things. That is where they pick from their group. So I don't understand the outrage.
What you're expecting?
If it was a pope that did that, then you can be worried that why did the pope, appoint a prostitute to head a Catholic mission, right?
Sure.
We can debate that.
Yes. So
we're talking about Tinubu now. So why is everybody upset that Tinubu
who do you expect him to appoint?
Who do you expect him to appoint? It has to be people of his own genre, his people of the same characteristics. Yes.
The
reason why I haven't said anything about it is because sometimes I have to call myself to order when I get overly excited about people appointed. Why do you appoint this person? The question is, why don't you focus on the person who appointed these characters?
All right, your party has just nominated you or elected you as the national chairman of the AAC. Are you likely to allow another person to flag the presidential flag in 2027?
See, a political party has members. The members decide who is going to run in the party. That is why it is a political party that run in elections. Are you getting my point? Not the particular individual. So the political party appoints or elects or nominates a flag bearer to run in national elections. The political party is the one who makes the decision that you are talking about, not me.
But will it be fair for a political party to have the national chairman transmute to the national flag, the presidential flag bearer of the party?
That's exactly.
I think we have to stop the discussion of show right here now. He has we have gotten what we wanted to get from him, and the rest thing has to do with their politics that we are not interested in. And I think I still have one of his videos that I would like us, one of his interview again, that has to do with us, that I still want us to pay attention to. There's one of his interview again that I want us to pay attention to, so that we can be able to come back and discuss. I can see my brother is already there. So, but before I give our brother Christian the mic, let us hear this very interview again granted by Showore. It's another interview of his, and I believe it wants listening. Let's see. I think this is the interview.
Nnamdi Kanu is already a celebrity in prison.
They said he has already become the president of the prison, but I doubt that is what Nnamdi Kanu wanted. But it must have been conferred on him just by respect, you know. So very soon, you will see that they will, on their own, reverse the most fundamental mistake they ever made regarding Nnamdi Kanu. You can quote me on that.
So, Nnamdi Kanu is in Sokoto prison.
What did we predict to you? That they will do that? Well, I also predicted that it will be the greatest mistake of their life. And now, the people we asked to protest to prevent Nnamdi Kanu from going to jail are all rushing to Sokoto. I want his family members to give me the rights to admit people to see him so that I can be screening them. And I'll tell you the day the judge who sentenced him is going to go to Sokoto. He's going to go beg like Fela was begged in Bama prison for doing what is wrong, if he has not done that already. But if he wants to go, tell him to contact me. I will arrange a safe passage to Sokoto. This was the worst thing they could have done to them. When they were taking him to Sokoto, they thought they would ridicule him. When they got to Sokoto, he has turned Sokoto to another Mecca.
Yes, pilgrimage.
That's what we predicted. You know, they don't have sense because they don't have people who can reason in government. And now, look at where we are. You jail Nnamdi Kanu. Nnamdi Kanu is already a celebrity in prison. They said he has already become the president of the prison, but I doubt that is what Nnamdi Kanu wanted. But it must have been conferred on him just by respect, you know. So very soon, you will see that they will, on their own, reverse the most fundamental mistake they ever made regarding Nnamdi Kanu. You can quote me on that.
So what do you have to say? The judge has ruled that you should be restrained from talking about some issues that incite the public against the government of the day.
Don't misquote the judge. He just said that he was talking about national security. I'm not the national security.
Yes.
I'm not a police officer.
Yes.
You also heard me tell the judge that we have a plan to defeat the candidate on the other side.
Yeah.
And I will continue to make public policy statements. It's all right. You know, I think we have to give it to the judge that he applied wisdom.
So, Anihu Ribadu has been seen of late talking about the safety of the abducted. He was even reassuring the families of the victims that their children are well and safe while in captivity. Doesn't that speak of?
Well, what Anihu Ribadu has come to tell you is that he's the new chief negotiator with the terrorists.
Yeah.
So, and that's probably what Tinubu appointed him to be doing now. What they are doing is empowering the terrorists. And it is because they have no capacity to disempower them. So they engage. If Anihu Ribadu can tell you that they're in good hands, they said, and they are safe where they are, then come and redefine to me the meaning of safety. If a child who is barely 15 to 16 years is not in school and not with their parents, they are not safe. There's nobody who is safe in the hands of deranged kidnappers, terrorists, or bandits. No. So that's why I said maybe you should define to me the meaning of safety. But they are telling you, without missing words, that's the world we are living in. Maybe some of you are still in denial.
Do you now support the US coming to rescue Nigeria?
No, the US is not coming to rescue Nigeria. The US is ridiculing Nigerian leaders.
So what should we do?
Well, kick out the leaders who cannot protect you.
How?
You deserve protection, not from you didn't elect Donald Trump to protect you. Elected, or they selected Tinubu. And the reason I'm saying this so that those of you who are carried away by US promises is that if the US comes there to help you clear Sambisa forest, who is going to clear the forest in Edo State for you? Except you then agree that the US must replace your government. So your next governor in Edo State will be called Moore from Idaho. The one from Ondo State will be from New York. You know, the one from Zamfara, they may not find a government to do because US people don't like to go to the safe places. So, and I have restated it again, that as an African, a Pan-Africanist, it is a disgrace that we keep looking for salvation from the people who enslaved us, the people who colonized us. You know, somebody who took you as a slave 400,000 years ago cannot love you when it is him and his
past policies and of their grandparents that put you in the condition that have you forgotten the Cold War? You know, have you forgotten colonialism? Have you forgotten their attempts to replace that? They've even trained so many of the soldiers you are seeing today, DSS, they were trained in the US or by the US security agencies. How come the training didn't have any impact on them? So, if you want salvation, build your own country. Elect leaders who can protect you, but always looking for help from people. You know, it's like you are looking for, you know, you are looking for help from a foreign religion, foreign gods. Now you are looking for help from the foreign army to come and help you cleanse your land. They don't have your time. They have, you see, I want to tell you here, the US have what they call attention deficit disorder in terms of international intervention and policies. They don't have time for you to, they don't have time to stay with you. After a while, if it inconveniences them, they leave. But they don't even have any plan to come here except just do some symbolic actions, and then after, at the end, you are still going to need to have your leaders protect you after they have come and gone. That is if they come at all.
Do you now support state police?
What?
State police.
Oh, I've always supported state police.
Even if
but not without proper guidance and you know, regulation. I support state police on the condition that all the policemen will be trained according to the same standards across the country, and that they are well paid, not like in Ondo State where they have an equivalent of state police right now. They don't even have, they have casualization, they don't have appointment letter, they don't have insurance cover. You want people to come and risk their lives for you, and they don't have anything to show that they are working with you. So it has to be properly regulated. You must pay them well, you must provide them with insurance, they must have housing, not barracks, because barracks don't work anymore for me. And they must be properly trained, and they must have rules and regulations. Because we've seen a situation where in Osun State, and I think Ondo State, the leader of the Amotekun in Ondo State is trying to kill some of his staff who are opposed to the way he's running the place. In Osun State, there was some shooting in which they just arbitrarily kill people. So that's why regulations for these are very important for him. But state police, campus police, any police, I'm in support of it, but not rogue law enforcement agencies.
A video just resurfaced of Matawale advocating that not all bandits are criminals.
And not all criminals are bandits. I don't want to waste my time responding to the likes of what. It's a reflection of where we are. That again, the worst amongst us is governing the most brilliant amongst us. So these are washer people that have no business. These are people that should be in jail. I met one governor, former governor here this morning. What is his name? Bangida Ali.
Okay.
Justice.
He was alone in a BMW. So he saw me, came to greet me. I said, what are you doing here? I said, I've been facing corruption charges for 10 years. I said, why don't you join the APC and stop disturbing yourself? He said you can't join them. I said, well, it's a matter of time.
Yes.
Yeah.
My brother Christian, you're welcome. Thank you for joining.
You're
welcome, my brother. Go ahead, talk to us.
Yeah. Sometimes